Hey, what's going on, guys? So I know I'm a couple of days late on this one, but believe me when I say this, Unai Emery is the perfect appointment for Aston Villa. He'll officially begin his reign on November 1st once he gets a work permit sorted out, and unfortunately from my perspective, his first game in charge will be against Man United at Villa Park. And I'm neither looking forward to the new manager bounce nor the electric atmosphere that we'll likely be up against. In case you're unaware, Villa have had to pay 5 million quid in order to buy out the remainder of Emery's contract at Villarreal, which is well and truly worth every penny considering shite players are moving around for 30 million pounds these days. Before I get into why I rate this man so highly, I just wanted to have a quick word on Steven Gerrard. It's fair to say the writing was on the wall for quite some time now, and is something I feared might happen once Michael Beale departed for QPR, as you can see in this video I made during the summer, which is on the top right hand corner of your screen. He was widely considered the brains behind the operation at Rangers, and it's no surprise to see him begin his managerial career so well in the Championship, with the likes of Wolves unsuccessfully trying to bring him in, and Gerrard struggling big time without his presence. Things must have gotten pretty grim behind the scenes because the players looked like they had the weight of the world lifted off their shoulders during the weekend's 4-0 victory over Brentford. Dropping the captain in John McGinn was a ballsy move for a man in charge for only a couple of games, but the difference in balance and stability that having a double pivot of Dendoncker and Douglas Luiz brought was crystal fucking clear to see, and something Emery himself will relish working with. As for Gerrard, both the performances and results were miles off it, and he can have no complaints that things have ended the way they have. I do feel for him given Douglas Luiz was incorrectly sent off at 1-0 down versus Fulham, and Villa could have quite easily picked up a point with 11 men, which, again, highlights how much of a piss take it is that referees aren't held accountable for their decisions, given a man's potentially lost his job because of them. But that's for another time and something which would have only delayed the inevitable. The other options Villa looked at prior to appointing Emery were Pochettino, Tuchel and Ruben Amorim. The first two are patiently waiting for a Champions League club to come in for them, while Amorim clearly wants to see how far he can take Sporting in Europe this year, much like Emery himself last season, who guided Villarreal to a Champions League semi-final and turned down advances from Newcastle United while doing so. For a club sat in 15th place, bringing in a man with close to 2 decades of managerial experience and a plethora of silverware on his CV is the best they could have possibly hoped for. What excites me most about this appointment is that Emery is at his very best when in charge of an unfancied side and tasked with competing with clubs that have much bigger names and financial strength in the market, which is exactly why he's perfect for Villa right now. He knocked out Arsenal and Man United on the way to winning the Europa League in 2021, which was Villarreal's first major trophy in their entire history, by the way, while getting the better of Juventus and Bayern Munich the following year in the Champions League. In fact, he even gave quadruple chasing Liverpool a run for their money, until injuries and fatigue got the better of his side in the second half in Castellón. Now, his time at Arsenal is often used as a stick to beat him with, but there's certain caveats which seem to be conveniently ignored by the press. First and foremost, he was replacing Arsene Wenger, a man who'd been in charge of the club for 22 years and ran the ship from top to bottom. Aside from being big shoes to fill for any coach in the world, Emery's the type of individual who'd like to focus purely on coaching, something Arsenal weren't well equipped to do at the time and very much are now. While Arteta's doing a great job there at the minute, he had to go backwards in order to go forward and has been given the right support system around him to succeed, which just goes to show you how important timing is in football. Purely hypothetical, but if Arteta was the one taking over from Wenger, I'm fairly certain he'd have been sacked for some of the results he's gotten, which should put things into perspective. Secondly, Emery was only in charge for 18 months but had a run of 22 games undefeated and even got Arsenal to the Europa League final, something which no manager has done before or after him, which suggests his reign, while far from perfect, is hardly the catastrophe it's been made out to be. Third, the shite good evening jokes made about him and his accent. I'd love to see the same Muppets who have a pop at him try and speak Spanish. I can guarantee they'd struggle to string 2 words together. I'm all for a bit of banter, but that type of thing is hugely disrespectful to a man whose job it is to improve football clubs, not provide a clinic in the English language. As someone who spent a fair amount of time in Birmingham, I know for a fact that the deeply loyal fan base at Villa will have this man's back, and I'm certain he'll repay their faith by getting this squad performing significantly better than they recently have. His first task will be to establish the club as one who regularly finishes in the top half of the table before attempting to challenge for a European spot. Things can change very quickly in football, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the man who takes this sleeping giant back to where they belong if given time and backing by the board. I didn't want to make this video too long, but in case you're interested in what to expect from Emery tactically, check out the article I've linked in the description for a detailed breakdown. Cheers for tuning in as always, folks. I'd love to hear your thoughts and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.